Are we witnessing the death of football soul? See, let's take a nostalgic trip back to the 2000s, and that was actually the golden era of football. Like the game was actually played with a sense of freedom and flair. That's actually become increasingly rare in today's game, and it was a time when players weren't just cogs in a tactical machine, but they're actually given license to express themselves on the pitch, sort of like artists with a blank canvas, painting moments of pure brilliance with every touch of the ball. And during that time, like the game was actually blessed with like so many mavericks. Like when you actually break down like each and every team, like every team had like two or three ballers, would actually cook and would do some crazy things in the game, like this flicks and tricks. It was actually mad. And I think during that time, like most of these players, your Zizous, R10s, R9s, Henrys, Bergkamps, etc., etc. I could go on. Like they actually epitomize like the free spirited nature of the game and showcase the level of flair and creativity that almost seemed supernatural. And so as we move forward into the 2010s, where the game was starting to evolve more, a lot more teams were now becoming ball dominated. Your Barcelonas, your Spains, your Man Cities, all these guys became like possession based teams. Like the game was still graced to like a generation of maestros, your Hazards, your Ozils, your Pogbas, you name us. Like all these guys took center stage like a shining star in the night sky with their flair and creativity. But you see, like gone are those days, like gone are the artists, and these guys have actually been replaced by like PNP players as well as the stat padders, and the game has actually transformed into more like a tactical maze where flair battles with pragmatism as well as the pursuit of glory often comes at the expense of individual brilliance. And systems like tiki-taka as well as like the gegenpress have all reshaped modern football, and they all like emphasize possession and control over like instinctive creativity, and it's kind of turned football into a symphony of precision rather than a freestyle jam session. And nowadays, players kind of find themselves shackled by the tactical demands of their coaches, like coached out of the risk taking in favor of tactical adherence, and that's kind of like artists being confined to lines of a coloring book. Even attempts at flair often met with resistance, and players like your Neymars, I've always felt like Neymar is a throwback baller, like the type of player who could play in any era of football. And I've always said that if he played in the 2000s, a lot of people's opinion of him would have been different. Like this guy would have been considered as like a top 5 player to ever play the game. For me, he's still a top 5 player. But like nowadays, like where the game is so fixated on like goals and assists, and it's often phasing out the creative players. Like he's often penalized for his audacious skills and showboating, and it's kind of sad because it's like trying to paint a masterpiece only to have your paintbrush snatched away in mid-stroke. And it also goes down to like how prioritizes tactical discipline and adherence to the system over individual brilliance. And like take for instance Pep, and for me Pep is the greatest manager of all time. I don't think there's any debate about that. But I've always felt like under his guidance, players are often coached out of their flair, except for Messi. And I actually feel like Pep and Messi are related. I feel like Pep is Messi's son, but we just don't know it. I wouldn't surprise me if this came out in a documentary, but anyways, I digress. Like players are often coached out of their flair by Pep. I mean, take a look at Grealish. Like we saw his flair coached out in favor of tactical discipline, like a wild stallion tamed to trot neatly in formation. You see, the Grealish that was playing for Aston Villa was completely different from like the Grealish that's playing for Man City. Like his style was changed to fit into Guardiola's system and sacrificing his natural flair for tactical precision, like a fiery comet dimmed to conform with the stars. And at Aston Villa, I mean, the guy was a maverick. Like he was a shining beacon of creativity. He carried his team on his back like Frodo from The Lord of the Rings, and he was just like a maestro leading an orchestra with a baton of brilliance. But like under Pep, his role shifted from being the focal point to fitting seamlessly in like the team's intricate passing sequences, like a wild river flowing into the calm sea of tactical cohesion. And see, as football evolves, the kinds of risks taken epitomize a loss of faith in individuality, and It's sort of like a once fabric canvas now painted over with cautious strokes of conformity. And I feel like the sport now favors collective responsibility over solo spontaneity, opting for rehearsed tactics over moments of magic. And like, as you see in this day and age, like the risk of playing with a high defensive line or passing through a high press is deemed more acceptable than any explosion of solo brilliance. And you see, no matter how fruitful these tactics may be, they seem to come at the cost of individuals' bits of magic that form some of our most cherished football memories. And we're sort of witnessing like a shift towards more sterile and cautious team structures, which, while tactically it sounds good on paper, but it's much more less entertaining to watch. And also, let's not forget that what makes football truly captivating is, the audacity, the cockiness, and as footballers navigate the pitch, their creativity is constrained like birds with clipped wings trying to soar in a cage of tactical rigidity. And football today seems quicker to remind us of the dangers of failure rather than indulging in the rewards of success. I mean, sure, there's still players flying the flag high of flair today, playing with the same youthful freedom that Arsene Wenger once said the game is losing. Like your players like your Musialas, your Vinicius, Cole Palmer, Foden, like these guys are still keeping the spirit of individuality alive, reminding us of the beauty of improvisation and risk-taking. And personally, I just hope like the next generation of footballing talents like your Hatem Ben Arfas of tomorrow are honing their skills in the cages or in the streets and continue to embrace their inner child while navigating the elite footballing landscape. And yeah, the system will always be more powerful than the individual, but once the individual dies, who will get us out of our seats? I'll leave that question with you, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you hit the like button as well as leave a comment and subscribe to the channel, guys. I appreciate you a lot, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you check out the recent videos I've released, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit.